So, first of all, being human is weird. And also, our lives have rules. And if we play by the right rules, then we win the most rewards in life, we're the happiest, and we live the best life. So, I believe we should discover what those rules are for ourselves. And actually, that is what we're all doing, except some are doing it faster than others. And then I want to talk about how people are discovering those rules and following those rules faster than others, and how you can do that, and how I'm doing that. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about how the fact that we're human is so weird. Like, it's so weird. When I was younger, during this weird, random, specific point, I just started to realize, like, I'm a human. Like, that's so weird. Like, I just randomly gained consciousness. You know how we all do. Uh, and I just realized, because when I was really young, I was just like, okay, this is how it is. My mom and dad is here. We live here, and we go to school, and I have to do this and that, and I like this, I don't like that. But then once you get to a certain age, you're just like, I'm a human. Like, I'm not an ant. I'm not an animal. And I'm on this rock called Earth. And for some reason, there's this like thing called school that we have to go to. Like, it's so weird because when you're young, you just are surrounded by people who like just assume school is school. Like, the adults just assume it is how it is. Like, you just go to school, that's how it is. And like, school is this way. There's you have to learn this subject, and you have to do this, go to recess, whatever, and friends and whatever. And then you just kind of live your life in that realm. Except, who set those rules? There's people who came up with the idea of school, but before that, there wasn't school ever in the history of humankind. And before that, like, why is that the thing that we have to be in? Like, this idea of school. What if it was different? And then you can go beyond this and be like, the law of like gravity, or the gravitational constant, is such and such. But I'm not that good at physics yet. But for example, gravity is negative 9.81 meters per second squared. But why is it that exact number? And then if it was tweaked a little bit, how would things be different? And of course, you can bring up ideas about aliens and such, but it's like, it could have been a different number, and that's just one thing. So it's like, if it was a different number, then things wouldn't be how it is, but we just all assume it is how it is, and then we just take it for granted. It's so weird because it's like a expansion of consciousness, I guess. Realizing that you are in like almost like a simulation, whereas before, it's like a Matrix. Like, if you've ever watched the Matrix, if you're older, then you know what I'm talking about. If you're younger, you probably don't know as much. I literally watched that movie just because I heard so many references to it by older people, like online, or like teachers. But it's a good movie to watch just to understand the references, I'm not gonna lie. But essentially, like, Neo, the main character in the Matrix, doesn't realize he's in it, and it's basically like a simulation. And then once he's out of it, like, there's this red pill, blue pill, it's like famous scene. Everyone knows about that. And he takes the red pill, and then he gets out of the Matrix, and then he discovers that the world he was living in was not real at all. And some people didn't want to know that, so they took the blue pill, and they came back to a lower level of consciousness. I guess it's the exact same thing. And it's also why people like Elon Musk say, like, there's a 99.9, whatever he said, percent chance that we are in a simulation. And like, also my high school teacher, one of my teachers. But that is so weird, like, that we live in this world as it is. Why are we humans? Why do we have 4 limbs? Why aren't we having 8 limbs? Why there's like fucking quadrillions and sextillions and fucking 1e like 100 organisms in the world? I don't know how much it is. Don't quote me on that. But for some reason, we're one of the 8 billion that are humans. Like, what if it was like a random chance that we were assigned to any organism at a time? Like, the fact that we're human is pretty dang lucky, and also it's probably the best one actually, because you have agency, you can do whatever you want, and probably have the most fun. And like, obviously, being a human is the best, right, compared to other animals, right? And like, why the specific one? Why am I Asian? Why am I a guy, for example? There's not really any reasoning. It's just how it is. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. But now I want to talk about how life has rules. So I and you have a higher state of consciousness, but we realize with this consciousness that really has no form, that we, like our bodies, minds, emotions, and spirits, is living in this world, this human world, whatever this is, this universe, whatever it is, right? And we are bounded by the laws of physics. So gravity is always as it is. An electron is always negative, fucking a proton is always positive, and they're the opposite charge, whatever the fuck that even means. But we know that's true, right? Whatever that means. And you can touch things, and like, we're not, you can't teleport, right? Unless there's some quantum something, something, something. I don't know. I don't know enough physics, right? But these are the rules of our worlds. And then we're basically playing a game. So what is this game? Well, a game, I think, and people call this game like, well, first of all, game, and also purpose or meaning of your life, or the goal of your life. What is the purpose of life? And I think this entire thing is just like, what is the objective of our game of life? And we all have the same objective, I think. Or we all have an objective, right? First of all, is to not die. Second of all, is to be happy, I think, or to enjoy life. And I think having some sort of meaning to your life or contribution towards others. Like, I remember watching Markiplier, and he said something about like he wanted his life to mean something. So it's like that, right? We want our lives to mean something. So is that what the game is about? Sort of, right? So yeah, the game of life is to not die, survive, reproduce, be happy, feel like you're having meaning, have status, all of these things. You could debate about this for forever, but I think you get the point, right? It's pretty obvious. Like, we have a point, like we're trying to improve something, right? We're trying to get better, not die, like Brian Johnson would say, like the not dying maxing guy online would say, or business, like money, as Alex Hormozy would say. There's many games you could play in life, but I think most of us know there is some sort of game or like way you can level up, right? Whether that be living longer, health, money, status, enjoyment of life, happiness, etc., etc., etc. So we all know that. But there are laws within those too. Like, just how the universe and physics has laws, like gravitational constant, whatever the fuck relativity is, right? We have laws within this game of not dying. Like, obviously there's health and stuff and biology, that's the thing. How do we not die? Well, we avoid cancers and like diseases. And how do we do that? We stay healthy, immune system, everything. So we eat the proper food, whole foods, whatever. And then when it comes to success, there's like delayed gratification is obviously like a huge thing, like is always there. And to me, that's almost like the gravitational constant. Like, the fact that delayed gratification is always like better than instant gratification, or for the most part, that seems like a law to me. It's like, if you put in effort in the gym, it hurts now, but you'll feel the benefits later, and it will be better for you overall than if you skip the gym, which is instant gratification now, and then you will have delayed pain later. So that's like one concept. Another one is like, when old people are dying, or are on their deathbed, like a common regret I've seen on this article and in general is that they say things like, I wish I had the courage to live a life that I wanted, not the life that I thought other people wanted me to. And I think that applies to everyone, right? I think everyone feels that, right? The urge to be normal, be average, to be like everyone else, to fit in. I feel like that's prevalent in everyone, and everyone understands that as well. Like Jeff Bezos' last shareholder letter was about this concept of not being normal, not being average. But the point of this is that most people, when they die, they have this regret. So then, why don't you just not do what they did because they regretted it? And most people regret that. So if you just think about this, like this is what wisdom is, right? Like the people who are older, they've been through experiences, they come back and they tell you what the right answer is. Why don't we follow that right answer? And I think that it's like a law in the sense of winning this game of life. In this case, is maximizing enjoyment, which spills onto everything like health, wealth, relationships, everything. Doing what you want to do, not what you think other people want you to do, because that just leads to miserableness or just mediocrity. And like your life doesn't mean anything because it's just you're just doing what everyone else is. You're just like a robot. Everything, you already know the deal. I feel like I want to collect, like personally, like I want to collect all of these lessons and master them. I feel like life is masterable in this way. And just one more, inner child work, trauma. Like everyone's talking about it now. In the past, we didn't talk about it before, but earlier in human history. But it is prevalent, and when people do bad habits like video games, porn, junk food, all of that is usually to distract themselves, or to compensate for lack of love when they were a kid, or they were mistreated, they were abused, whatever this way, or they weren't able to express their emotions, or they feel very bad, like inadequate or not enough, same thing, or sad or angry, injustice, shame, and then they turn to these bad habits to distract themselves from it or to get a lower level of that, like porn is for intimacy. And so what's really effective is healing the inner child and healing trauma and like therapy, etc., etc., etc. So like that's a concept, right? It's almost like a law. It's like if everyone were healed, if everyone healed their inner child and trauma and saw a therapist, whatever, did something about it, their lives would improve. I think we can agree on that, right? Just enjoyment, happiness, everything, right? Of course, you can still choose. We all have free will, but I do think that there's certain things that we can learn that are like lessons that is just true. Like it's just always true. Timeless laws and lessons. And a law is always true until proven otherwise. So isn't it always advisable to heal your trauma? Isn't it always advisable to do what you want to do instead of what you think other people want you to do? In reality, no one cares, which I've heard a lot, which I do think is true. Delayed gratification beats instant gratification. Like these are just I'm just cherry pick 3 things out of like a whole boatload, right? But I feel like life is masterable like this. Like you can learn these lessons and keep applying them and pass them on to your children, and they will just live the best life possible from that. So I'm trying to do that. And honestly, that's what I'm doing with this YouTube channel. Like this entire YouTube channel right now is just focused on that. Like I'm just spilling the secrets that I'm learning in order for you to get them faster, right? And that's what I have benefited from other online creators and also experiencing life in general. The more you experience life, the more you can learn the lessons, and then you can actually apply lessons. Like for example, take action. Take action is very important. Don't just ruminate about shit and not do anything about it, right? Or reaching out for help if you're fucking depressed and anxious all the time and you feel lonely. Obviously, these are things that we should do, right? The final thing though that I wanted to talk about is rules that change, because some of these rules are timeless, like delayed gratification, whatever, right? But some change, like for example, our technology, like AI is a thing now, but in the past it wasn't. So now we have to adapt to AI. Or there's certain events that's happening in the world, like I don't know, Trump is doing something. I don't really know what's happening with that, but I'm not going to get into that. But you can learn to get better given the circumstances that's happening in the actual world. And these are not timeless because what worked in the past, like maybe writing a book, or the fact that more people read books before or something, or like, for example, the advent of social media created opportunities for many people just got rich from it, like Mark Zuckerberg, or any people who got rich off social media. If it didn't exist, then they wouldn't have. And then the people who wrote books or newspapers, their sales would have stayed the same. They wouldn't have decreased, or whatever happened due to social media. So, on top of timeless life laws, I think we also need to be aware of what's happening in the world that's relevant to the game we're trying to play, and adapt to that as accordingly. And it's also kind of synonymous with timeless laws, because like a law of like a timeless law might just be like, oh, constantly be learning, like never let your mind stop learning, like the old people who just let their brains rot, right? If you're not getting better, you're getting worse, yada yada yada. I think that applies. So it's really interesting. This is just what I'm thinking right now. It's super cool, but it's so weird. It's like I feel like I'm a consciousness that's looking down upon all of this stuff, not in a like condescending way, but just in general, and just like observing everything, being so self-aware and aware of everything in the world that I've just came up with these ideas. Like, I don't know if it's, I just think it's interesting. We have laws of physics that we need to abide by, and we're playing some sort of game. You know, whatever you want to do, whatever games you want to play. Like, yeah, in terms of success, happiness, whatever. In order to play those games the best way possible, there's life lessons you can learn. And some of these are timeless, like delayed gratification and doing what you want. And some are changing, like AI is a thing now when it didn't used to be, or the people you have access to right now in your friend group is different from any other period in history and in the future. The people that you have access to right now, their genetic traits and whatever, which aren't as timeless. But then again, you learn timeless traits from them. I don't know. The point is, I think this is such an interesting idea, and this video is really long already, but final thing is that in order to learn these timeless lessons, I already mentioned learning it from other people and experiencing it. That's exactly true. So you go through life and you try to find the lessons in everything. You try to learn everything from everyone. Like, your parents are a certain way. What can you learn from them? I saw this quote from somewhere. I don't know where it was from or how I found it, but it was something along the lines of everyone, like, assume everyone is enlightened. Like, everyone knows something you don't. I've heard that from many people online. And try to learn constantly or something. Be a lifelong student. Like, these sort of concepts, they're all along the same lines of learn from everyone. Learn from what they're doing right that you want to copy, what they're doing wrong that you want to avoid in order to keep playing the game and win at your game. Learn from experiences you get. So if you're making a choice, pick the cooler path, pick the crazier story, whatever, the coolest story. And that will give you the best stories and give you the best aura and help you make your decisions and help you learn things that most people wouldn't have learned because they wouldn't have gone and done those things and made those decisions that you have. For example, I ran away from home multiple times. I'm sure many people do that, but it's just it's interesting, right? And I wasn't very consciously aware of I'm gonna do this because of that. No, it's just that happened, and I made a video about it. But I learned things from it, and I experienced things. I talked to people that I wouldn't have if I hadn't. And so it's so interesting, the things you can learn by doing things, by experiencing things, by people say like start a business or something, you'll improve so much more than going to therapy or something. That's what Layla Hormozi said. I don't know, whatever. But doing things in your life, trying to make things happen, trying to figure out who you are, like all of this is good. And, it will help you learn life lessons. It will help you live your life in a better way. Whatever your goal is, like whatever the hell you want to do in life, I think learning the lessons in order to get there is obviously what you want to do, right? You don't have to be obsessive about this, whatever. It's just always there. I don't have to point it out, but it's like, obviously, if you say something to a person and they are taken aback and they're cursing at you, then you realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. It's not like anything crazy. It's not like, oh, life has these lessons I need to learn. It's just like, you learn from your mistakes and you just keep getting better. And I think that's like, everyone knows that, but it's just so interesting to have this put into words. And in order to learn the timeless lessons, what helps is self-improvement books. So that is huge. I have read many books. I haven't read all of them that are good, but things like Psycho-Cybernetics or like Essentialism by Greg McKeown, Atomic Habits, everyone knows about, even if you're not into self-improvement. The 4-Hour Work Week, Deep Work is about focus, and like Stolen Focus is another great book on focus. Hard Times Create Strong Men for Men, Why We Sleep, that one everyone knows as well. Or listening to Andrew Huberman podcasts or Chris Williamson podcasts. Like, all of this is basically self-improvement. And I think self-improvement is literally just all we're doing in life. Like, that is just the game we're playing. That's it. Yeah, that's it. And if you read these books, you will get the lessons way faster than everybody else that doesn't read the books. And most people don't even learn many lessons until just ever. They just don't. So if you do, then you're just gonna be ahead of the curve. I don't know. Yeah. Also, a final note I just thought of, which is, when I was younger, I was reading the stuff, but I don't think many people took me seriously then, just because I was younger, especially not my parents or adults, I think. But, well, this is just another lesson. Like, it's just another lesson. But anyways, the lesson is that if you're young, like if you're 10 or something, you still are capable of doing anything, of learning anything. So what matters is that you get better at the skill of life. It doesn't matter what age you are, you can get better. So adults are really just like overgrown babies, honestly. So the point is that you can be far ahead of other people when you're younger than them if you just learn the lessons necessary way faster than them or before them. So like Mr. Beast is way better at business than any other social media or YouTube creator, even if they're in their 40s, while Mr. Beast is like 27 or something, because he's just been at it for way longer. He's experienced it more. He's built a team of viral creators, like working day in, day out, trying to figure out how to make viral content. And those years of experience, the life lessons he learned on content creation, far surpasses anyone else's, no matter their age. So if you're young, you want to read these books, I highly suggest you do. And it's just so life-changing. It's so life-changing. If your parents aren't like already cracked in everything and they're encouraging you to do stuff like this, you should. If you're older, obviously do it as well. Yeah. So I just thought that was super interesting. I think I've been thinking this for a while, but it's like life literally like has some random arbitrary rules. Like, we are humans and our DNA is shaped like this. We have lungs for some reason, right? we have this and that. English is the way English is, and most people speak English, or a lot of people do. It could have been different, but it's not. But who cares? We're born into this world. There's certain rules that there are, and there's certain lessons that there are that we should learn in order to live the best life, in order to achieve our goals, in order to be good at life. And I think it's not really important to think about why that is the case, but it's important to just know that is the case. It's important to know life is how it is. I'm talking for me, to be honest. Like, I'm always like, why is gravity this way? Why is this that way? But even like my physics teacher literally said, like, I don't even know why positive charges attract negative charges. Like, ask God. Like, nobody knows, but it is how it is. And just for me, honestly, I'm just giving advice for myself. It's just like, there's no point in thinking about, well, why are humans like this? Why do I have to be charismatic? Why is this what charisma is? Why do we have to be attractive? Whatever. It's just that we know that is the case, and then we play by the rules of the game. And honestly, that's all you need, because the happiness, fulfillment, success, everything comes from that anyway. So just forget about caring about why certain things are the way they are, like the rules of life. Just learn them and you will live the best life. So I wish the best for you. Hope you gained something from this video, and life is masterable. So that's it. Peace.